The key to our sexuality is emotion. And when we reconsider our history of emotional adaptation, we find, inevitably in everyone's case, an early reaction or reaction pattern that persists throughout the individual's life and is just dramatized, elaborated, but is there very early. And it's not simply a matter of how your parents treated you and so forth. No matter how far back you went, it would still be a reflection of the same adaptation to you don't love me, to unlove, to the contraction of feeling. There is a primal separation implicit in our history. And we may not even say that it's the matter of coming out of the womb, separation from the mother. The primal event is not some circumstance that happens to us. It's not within our experience. It's not something that we conceive relative to us. The primal event is us, is me. It's not my separation from something that is it. It's my appearance, my existence, independently. And I interpret this as separation, you see. And that's my first philosophical gesture. That's the first time I say, you don't love me. We consider our individuation, our birth, our mere existence, to be a form of separation, you see. We use mythology like coming out of the womb and being thrown out of one's parents' house, all the rest of it, you see, the conflicts of childhood, to fill out this philosophical point of view. The inherent vulnerability of our independent existence is a shock. And we reflect on all experience, down to the most primitive moments in the womb and so forth, as a kind of rejection. We look out into the universe and we feel insulted, rejected, unloved. We're dying and so forth, you see. We make philosophy out of our independence. It's not our experiences that tell us we're not loved. Some people don't love us, surely. But we're philosophically disposed to that point of view. This is our interpretation of existence itself. Not on the basis of any experience we've had, but on the basis of our independence itself. And therefore, our independent existence means separation to us. Whereas in fact, you see, all it is independent existence. And when you become strong, if you ever can become truly strong, autonomous, able to take a deep breath, then you stop interpreting the universes as a form of rejection. So as a great parent from which you've been expelled, under whose domination you live, who has rejected you, who is not loving you, or who loves you. Well, the whole matter that is of interest, that's significant about diet and health, is implicit in this consideration. This metaphysical supposition that everyone makes, and by which everybody interprets their past. Everyone is simply born into the conventional condition of independence, and everyone interprets that as rejection. Me feels as you don't love me. Interpret all of our history while we're vulnerable, while we're growing, and you see that never comes to an end because we're always growing. Unless we contract ourselves and stop for the moment. We're in a process of transition always in our conventional states. So we interpret our past, we think, is very much different than our present and future, as being a vulnerable time. And during that time, sometimes we had a good experience, sometimes we had a bad experience. But what it all comes down to is you don't love me. Or as a fundamental disposition in us to be contracted in our feeling. And that really is not the results of our experience, whatever our experience. May be reinforced in all kinds of social and other chronic ways. But it's not the results of experience. It is our philosophy, our point of view, our disposition. It is the presumption we make in the instant of the recognition of our independence. So I, me apart, is felt as you don't love me, and therefore lives as unlove. I don't love you. Until we become awakened from that sleep. Vital shock, you see? Birth, not the birth trauma in the pure physiological sense, but the recognition of independence, in which you steadily observe, increasingly observe, that you are vulnerable, that you are subject to circumstances, that your very existence can apparently depend on circumstances. The more you observe of it, the more it looks like you don't love me. As a matter of fact, that is the way it seems, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you look from here to as far as you can conceive looking, it doesn't look like we're loved. It looks like we're trapped.
Yeah.
We're not sustained, in other words. So birth, or the recognition of one's independent existence, is interpreted by us to be separation. It's interpreted by us as a moment of being unloved, a permanent gesture in which we're essentially unloved. And all of that comes down to the feeling that we are not sustained. In other words, independent existence is separation from food. We must ultimately deal with this metaphysics, this philosophy, that I am not loved, that I am separate from what sustains me. The whole drama of human existence is about that. That's completely all that it's about.